welcome back. I'm Courtney and this is the Accounting Struggle, where we speak about our struggles with accounting openly and honestly. We do not run from them. So in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I do for a living now, what my accounting career is in industry accounting. I wanted to make this video because I've spoken a lot about my time in public accounting and why I left and what my time was like. Most of my content is focused on my time in public accounting because that's where I spent majority of my career so far. So now that I'm at almost the 1 year mark in my current role in industry accounting, I wanted to share a little bit of insight about what that looks like now, some of the day-to-day. So it's around this time of year that a lot of people are wrapping up with busy season, except for a lot of people aren't because of the extended busy season because of the COVID-19 stuff. But generally speaking, this is around the time of year when people are reassessing whether or not they want to stay in public accounting. And I respect that everyone does not start off in public accounting. So I know that that's kind of the rhetoric or the point of view that I'm coming from a lot, but that's just because a lot of people do start off in public accounting, and I wanted to speak to that experience. This is generally speaking around the time when people are starting to look for a career change, or around the 2 or 3 year mark in their career. They're thinking about what else they want to do. And I feel like when I was in school, there wasn't a lot of focus or emphasis put on careers that were not either governmental or public accounting. It was mostly that, and then it seemed like industry was something you do later on in life or later down the road. I wanted to speak about this in the event that you are considering a career in corporate or industry accounting and you wanted to just get a better idea of what that looks like. I just wanted to share a little bit about what I'm doing in my career and some of the day-to-day, what you can expect. So if you're new here, I just wanted to share a little bit of background. So I started out in public accounting as a tax associate. I was there for nearly 3 years, 3 if you count my internship, and then I transitioned out of public accounting into the role that I'm in now, which is corporate accounting role. I work as a CPA for an insurance company. I will link to the description a little bit of information about why I left public accounting, and then I'll also link the differences between public and industry, because I have 2 different videos that I've done on that if you're interested. But to just talk a little bit about my current career and what I'm doing now. So I'm currently in a senior level position at an insurance company. It is a pretty big company. It is based here in Richmond, Virginia. And what my role is I work for the investments group. So I do the accounting for investments. I don't do investments particularly. That's another group. Sounds fun. Definitely not for me. Not something that I do. Want to just be clear on that. But my group, the investments group, we do the accounting and reporting for all of our portfolio, and specifically my team focuses on 3 of the different asset classes within the portfolio. So we're kind of breaking out the entire portfolio into groups, and my team specifically focuses on 3 of the alternative assets. So that sounds really fancy and fun and exciting, and it is. So some of the things that I do in my current role include, but are not limited to, I write memos for whenever we're going to impair assets, or if we have to write something down. I do a memo where I discuss kind of the thought process behind that. I also execute controls, some of our quarterly controls or monthly controls. And then I have my day-to-day tasks where I'm just performing reconciliations and recording journal entries and that sort of thing. So it is a wide variety. I also take a lot of side projects. So that's something that I'll get into in a second. But I have a very broad scope of things that I'm doing on a daily basis. So day to day, I do have my normal routine tasks, things that are needing to be updated on a weekly basis. So I have that to keep me busy throughout the week. But then I have my monthly and quarterly tasks that I do as well. So there are certain things that have to get done whenever we're closing out the prior month's activity. That's usually when it's the busiest. So like the first 10 business days of each month, usually like the first 2 weeks of each month are pretty busy. I'll usually work around 9.5, maybe even 10 hours Monday through Friday, or not Monday through Friday, more like Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is like 8 hours. And then I'm not usually working on Saturdays unless I'm really busy. It just depends. But that's kind of the day-to-day routine or the monthly routine. But one thing about industry accounting, my current role, that I've noticed is we do still have very harsh deadlines. So in tax, there were very harsh deadlines, although you did have the luxury of being able to extend, shout out to the IRS for that. But now our deadlines are super harsh, and it's like a deadline every day. And the reason is because it's a team, so every single piece of the puzzle matters, and your things that you're doing, your task, are due to someone else, and they can't do their part until you complete your role, and it has to be done on a certain day. Otherwise, it kind of throws the whole entire system off. So that's something that really helps with time management, being put into positions where you have deadlines that you're working against and multiple priorities that you have to kind of work through. What I found really interesting is that I felt somewhat prepared for my current role because of the work that I did prior to this in tax. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't know accounting. I knew accounting and I was working in accounting. So I felt like I had a good background and a good basis, but it is wildly different than my prior role. So now with all of the things that I'm doing, the reason why it's so different, or the biggest thing that I'm having or had to get adjusted to, was sort of the documentation process and a lot of the professional skepticism stuff that I had to get through my brain. And the concept of materiality has always been something that I just, girl, what you mean y'all just don't care if it's off by $200,000? What you mean? That's always been a struggle for me, because I come from tax, where it's like, if your tax return or your balance sheet is out of balance by more than $10, like, we need to look into that. So that was something that I had to get adjusted to. But the more you do something, the better you get at it. And if you have a good team and people who are really invested in making sure you understand certain processes and they give you the full scope of everything, you'll be able to catch on and adjust quickly. And I say that because I want anyone who might be coming from a completely different background in accounting, maybe you come from like payroll, or you come from cost accounting background, or some other side of it where you're like, ooh, I don't know if I'd be able to make that transition. You definitely can. You just have to have a team that's willing to put the time in, and you have to be willing to put the time in to kind of unlearn a lot of the stuff you already know if it goes against the work that you're going to be doing now. But that's one of the biggest things that I kind of had to get used to at first. So a lot of people, or at least in my experience, what I kind of had in my mind was that these kind of roles were just very repetitious, and you just be kind of working on one thing every day. That's your role. But with every role, there's so many layers to it that you have to kind of peel back and get to know. So like I said before, we focus on 3 different asset classes. So there is a lot of variety in the work that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. On a monthly basis, I do have my regular routine task, and that part is repetitious, which I appreciate. I really do like a little bit of routine. However, there are many tasks that are not as repetitious. I mean, there are things we only do quarterly. So you might not forget, but by the time it comes back around, it's like fresh all over again. It's not super routine. Because I work for an insurance company, there's so many different types of reporting that we have to do. And because it's an international company, there's that piece of it that we have to consider. And just like with any other industry, there's always, especially with it being a highly regulated industry, there's a lot of different accounting guidance that will come out that's new, that you have to kind of get to know and learn as it's coming out. So that stuff keeps me on my toes. New accounting guidance, statutory reporting, there's SEC reporting. There's so much to consider, especially coming from my background that I didn't have any exposure to this before. This is all something that's been really great, getting to know these processes, and it's gonna be that way with anytime you leave one industry and go into another. If you go from like the banking industry to the insurance industry, those are 2 different types of regulations. So you're always going to be able to be put on your toes and see a bunch of different things that you didn't see before. So I like that part of it. I like the variety. I like being able to learn and being challenged. That's something that I've been enjoying so far. So peak busy times in my current role are like I said, quarter close is really busy. Not the same type of busy that I experience during busy season in public accounting, but still busy. Still longer days than normal. So I certainly do not work an 8-hour-a-day job. I don't really know why we even call it a 9 to 5. I don't know anybody who just works 9 to 5, especially not any accountants. However, I would say quarter close, I'm usually working about 50 hours a week. Month end close, I would probably be around like 45 hours a week. It really depends on what we have going on that month. But the goal is to be as efficient as possible. So it's not really about hours, it's just more so about getting all of your work done in a timely fashion, and like I said, on the days that it is due, because you know the whole world will fall apart if you don't get your stuff done when you're supposed to. So a typical day for me is usually I would log on around between 7:30 and 8:30. So I usually start out by planning my day. I do a top 3. I got that from Erin on Demand, who I love. If you're not following her on social media, on YouTube, you absolutely should be. She's amazing. But the top 3 just helps me to prioritize. Even though I might have 30 things to do that day, I have to kind of summarize it into the top 3 things that have to get done. Okay, so that's kind of how I start off my day. We do meet a lot in my current role because it is very collaborative. So we are always teaming up. We're meeting a lot. Not in person anymore since we're working from home. Now it's a lot of quick phone calls. But I find that it cuts back on miscommunication when you over communicate, when you're always meeting, and when you're always hopping on a call with someone. I find that to be a much more effective way at cutting back on miscommunication and misunderstanding. So that's something that I'm just grateful to work on a team where people don't mind doing that, because there are a lot of roles where it's like, this could be an email. Why are you talking to me in person? So I just happen to work for a company or in a team where we just like to meet a lot. That's just kind of our thing. So that's why some of my days are a little longer, just to accommodate for the meeting times. But it is something that I feel like is important, and I enjoy that because I'm very touchy-feely. You know, I like to be here with the people, like I've said. So yeah, that's kind of the peak times. Once we're outside of month end close and quarter close, those last couple of weeks you're able to just kind of catch up on your day-to-day task and work on some side work. So if you have some big project that you are the person who's taking the charge on. So in my team, we get challenged a lot to take on things that we think would be good for our development or just a good fit for us in general. So I've been tasked before with taking on projects that are things that I kind of need to manage on my own time alongside my other work, which is nice. You don't really have the luxury of just going to your coworker and collaborating with them because they don't know anything about the project you're doing. You have to really utilize your resources and think outside of the box and be challenged to figure out what to do next. And that's something that's really great for development and growth. I know that's not the learning style that some people prefer, because there's a lot of resistance when you're thrown into something. You're like, well, I don't know what to do. But I find it to be something that really has helped me a lot, is working on projects that are outside of my day-to-day routine task, because I'm just able to really think about, or just to dig deeper and to utilize my resources within the company and go to IT and collaborate with people outside of my group that I wouldn't typically work with on a regular basis. So that's something that I feel like has been great, and I really appreciate that part of my role as well. So a few of the pros, things that I really enjoy about working in industry accounting. One of the things that I really like is just how steady it is. Because I am such a routine person, that's just really my personality. That was why I went into tax, because I was like, ooh, audit. I'm here one week, there the next week. I could never. I like how steady the work is, but it's just enough variety that you don't get bored, or at least I don't get bored, because there's always something new to learn. It's not too much variety. It's like a good balance between steady day-to-day task, a pretty steady schedule. You kind of know what to expect, but then there's just like, ooh, there's a little bit of excitement for you every now and again, and I appreciate that balance. So that's one of the things that I really appreciate about working in industry accounting. Also, I find that the compensation is really great. I'm not gonna do dollars and cents with y'all, because that's just not my thing. I know there are videos where people speak specifically, but because people are watching this from all over the world, I just don't think it makes any sense to be like, oh, this is what you would get paid in this role, because that's just not something I can promise you. But if you are someone who is seeking employment and you're looking for a career change and you're curious about how much a job is going to pay, I would say Glassdoor is it's pretty accurate. I think you just need to do a little bit of research for what role you're looking for and in what area, but I find that the compensation is great. I also really love how diverse it is. There's someone from every stage of life. There are people who are more seasoned, and there are people who are fresh, like just got here, just starting out, and then there are people in the middle. There's somebody from kind of every group. And then there's like literally diverse. There's people from all different ethnic backgrounds. There's people from different countries. I appreciate that. I like to be able to work with people who I wouldn't normally be able to work with. So I think that's great. I really like that in companies because I feel like bringing a new perspective when people have different professional backgrounds and just they come from different places in their career and in their life, they're able to bring a fresh perspective. I still find that my schedule is pretty flexible. That's something that I look for in any role that I'm going to be in, just because if you're going to work kind of all day or the normal office hours, it makes it so much harder to get your tasks done. And there are a lot of jobs that don't really, they feel like if you have a doctor's appointment or if you have something like that you need to do, you just need to be off or you need to take off. I've worked for places before where they felt that way. Who has time for that? So I like that the role that I'm in is very flexible. If you have something that you need to shift your day around, you're able to do that. The focus is less on hours and more on getting your work done. That's always the big push, at least in all the accounting roles that I've had. It's just been like, that's great, do what you need to do, but we need you to get your work done. That's great flexibility. That's what I look for. The biggest thing and the most important thing to me is that I have a lot of work-life balance. I work a lot, make no mistake about it, but it's balanced. Every single waking moment of my life is not me working. And I really, really appreciate that. Because I am still very early on in my career, that's generally how it goes in accounting. You get these jobs where you are working so much in the beginning. And I think that works for a lot of people, but that just is not what I wanted out of life for myself right now. So I'm glad to be in a role where I do have balance. Even though I work a lot, I'm still able to fit in time to do things for myself. I just really appreciate that I have that balance and the opportunity to do things outside of my current accounting job that are still accounting related. Like if I needed to, I have the flexibility in my schedule to do volunteer work or to do other accounting related things, but also just my schedule in general lends itself to being able to have a personal life, which is great. And I'm not even being facetious. There are so many people who, even outside of accounting, when you are in the first 5 years of your career, a lot of times all you do is work. And I'm just grateful to be at a place where I'm not having to work that much anymore. I'm at 50 hours now instead of 60, and it's great. So that's a little bit about what I'm doing now, my current career. I didn't want to go into too much detail. I think I should do an update on this a year from now. I'm almost at the 1 year mark, but I mean, we're still getting to know each other, so we'll see how it goes. I love it so far. If you're thinking about making a similar change or transition out of public and into an industry related accounting role, definitely give it some thought. If you want to know more about that, if you want me to do a video on like how to make that transition and what to look for in jobs, that kind of thing, let me know in the comments below, and I will be happy to cover that as well. Because I do think there are specific things that you should be considering when you're leaving one job and going into something that is a lot different from what you're doing now. There are specific things you should be looking for. So that was all. I just wanted to share a taste of what I do now and what my current career and industry is like. I will do an update video probably a year from now just to see what has changed, what I can add, what other information I might be able to add that is useful to determine whether or not my perspective has changed. But I really enjoy it so far, and it's been a great transition. So I hope that you found this video to be helpful. If you did, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Also, if there's something else that I haven't covered that you would like more information on, please leave me a comment and let me know. I like to do requested videos because it makes me feel like I'm actually giving you something that is useful and informative, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside if I'm actually giving you something that you asked for. So please do not be shy. Leave me a comment if there's something that you want me to cover, and I will definitely get to that. Just let me know. Also, if you are free this Friday, April 24th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, be sure to hop on over to my Instagram account. I will be going live at 6 p.m. to do an interview with a young lady named Chelsea Brown. I'll link to her information in the description box, but she is a realtor and she's interviewing a bunch of different people. She's doing a series on women in business, and I will just be talking about my career and what I'm doing and kind of where I am with things right now. So if you're interested in that, be sure and meet us there at 6 p.m. on Friday, April 24th. I'm not sure when you're watching this. It might be too late. Sorry, girl. But Friday, April 24th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And my Instagram name, I'll just put it right here at the bottom, or I might put it on that side, not sure. But yeah. That's it. That's all I had to share with y'all today. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, be sure and give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. And that's it. That's all I have for y'all this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.